So this is Learning Target 9, Part 2. Oh, I didn't put what part it was on here. I just put part. Part 1, assuming you knew that. I can solve absolute value inequalities. You knew that was coming next, right? This one requires a little more of your brain to kind of think through it, but you'll get it. So watch. The only difference, if I were to say this. Now, when you change an equal sign to an inequality sign, it changes your solution from one solution to possibly infinitely many, right? So what are all the numbers that could be there that the absolute value of them would be greater than 3? Yes, 4, 5, 6, and 7, right? Which is basically written that way. Does everybody agree with that? So, hey, has anything really changed from my first one? Didn't last time I just take the inequalities or the absolute value bars away and that was one of my solutions? Then, go ahead.
Can't you do -4 and -5?
Yes. So, before I write this, so Austin told me that all numbers greater than 3 would work because 4, 5, and 6. But then JC said -4 and -5 and -6 and every number this way would work. But what is the inequality for this? It's not greater than just -3 because that would be this way. It's greater than, it's less than -3. Okay, this is like the basis behind everything, and it's really important. So I'm going to say it again. So right away, you knew that in addition to it being 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that it could be -4, -5, -6, right? So -4, -5, and -6 is not just saying take this, keep this, and change that to -3, right? So in addition to changing the negative now, I have to do what? Because what does this say? That's this one, isn't it? And these numbers, which is, say, -1, if I put a -1 there, the absolute value of -1 is not greater than 3. So JC kind of said it's got to go the other way. So in addition to just x being greater than 3, x could also be less than -3. So there's 2 things to change. Not just the negative, the absolute value sign for that inequality. So let's do another one. Let's take a less than 5. The absolute value of a can be less than 5. So let's think of this. If this is 0 and this is 5, a could be what? 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever, right? So a could be less than 5, which is exactly what you're looking at for your first one. Remember I said that's the easy one. But couldn't a also be what? Be careful here. If I need this to be less than 5, what numbers would have to go here? Would -6 work? No, because the absolute value of -6 is +6, and that's not less than 5. But what number would work?
-4.
Yes. So -4 would work because the absolute value of -4 is 4, and 4 is less than 5. So in addition to a being less than 5, a also has to be greater than -5, right? So one thing that you have to do when it becomes inequalities is graph them. So, and you just took a little quiz yesterday on graphing, right? That is like that most uneven line. So if this is -5 and this is 5. You got to watch me here because it's something new. A is less than 5, but it has to be greater than negative 5. So when they're written separately like this, you're thinking it's an or, right? So I might say, oh, I'm going to look at negative 6 because negative 6 is less than 5, isn't it? Sure. But when you put it in, is it true? So that and or plays a big part in today, right? So here's what you're going to do. If you graph it and it looks like this, you're good. One answer is this. The other answer is this. If you graph it and it looks like this, that's not good enough. How do we write ands? Yes. We take the A, we take the negative 5, we take the positive 5, and then we combine it. So I'm going to say that A is less than 5, but greater than, oops, I have the wrong way there. But A is greater than negative 5. Okay? That is your answer. So what will be checked? This and this, not just that. Okay? Good? All right, so let's keep going then, because you know it's not just that easy. Let's do, yeah, I wish. Because we got to make them inequalities, right? Okay. If you know how to set them up, you'll be just fine. Because you're looking at this thinking, all right, I know that, oh, sorry. X minus 5 could be greater than or equal to positive 7. Or X minus 5 could be what? Not greater than or equal to positive 7, but less than or equal to negative 7. That's it. So here's your greater than. I'm going to highlight both things because you have the greater than or equal to positive 7, but then you have a less than or equal to negative 7. Yeah.
It's actually equation with x minus 5 is greater than or equal to negative 7.
Great question. I'm so glad you said that because I had it in my notes. If you had this, actually, do this. If you had this, you would probably look at me kind of strange and say, what did I just start the lesson with? That the absolute value of a number can never be negative. So you can't say 8. You can't say negative 8. Is there a number out there on the planet that has an absolute value of negative 8? No, because absolute values are never negative because they are defined as distance. So this is a no solution. So I'm actually really glad Sam asked that because it's like a bonus for you. If you ever see one of these problems with a negative on the outside, you're like, boop, don't have to do it. No solution. Moving on. Before you go ahead and take all the time to do that. And she was thinking about it because she would think, she wanted to know what we would do here. We would never even get to that point. So great question. Okay? So let's add 5 to both sides. And it's going to give me x is greater than or equal to 12, and x is less than or equal to negative 2. Okay, I'm not done. If you stop there, you are like halfway done because you have to graph it, and you have to see if it's going to be an and if it's an then you have to write it combined. So let's graph it first. If this is 0, this is negative 2, this is positive 12. Here? Yeah. Because when we go back to our very first thing here, the sign has to be flipped. Otherwise, it's not going to be true and fit that inequality. So if I say x could be greater than 3, it's 4, 5, and 6, which works. But I can't just say x is greater than negative 3 because negative 2 is greater than negative 3, but it doesn't work. So it kind of has to, it has to flip both times, okay?
Just flip the sign.
Right. Here's the funny thing, because if it's an equation, all you do is change the sign, because to flip an equal sign around doesn't, So that's how you kind of know when to flip the inequality sign around, because there's two things to do. So I want x is less than or equal to -2, or x is greater than or equal to 12. Okay. Is this a combined one? No. So let me say this. The only numbers that you can't choose for x are the numbers in between -2 and 12. Take 5. Okay? What's 5 minus 5? 0 is the absolute. What is the absolute value of 0, by the way? 0, because how many spaces away from 0 is itself? So is 0 greater than or equal to 7? No. And we knew that wasn't going to work because it's not part of our solution. Only numbers that x can be are all numbers. So watch. Is it okay to leave your answer like this? Yes. Because it can't be written combined, because your solution has to be greater than or equal to 12 or less than or equal to -2. Got it? Okay, let's try this one. This is not as tricky as it looks. It's just for division. Everybody gives the division the... So, I'm going to take x over 3 greater than +5 and x over 3 less than, oops, I said 3, wrote 5, -5, right? So, greater than +5, less than -5. You have to make sure that that's the case there. So now we know how to solve division. We multiply, right? And did I multiply by a negative? No, we can't forget about that, because that's coming up next. So I'm keeping it this way and this way. Okay? It's pretty simple, right? Okay, so let's make it a little trickier then. Okay. So, the absolute value of -4x minus 5 plus 3 is less than 9. Guys, hanging in there? I know it's a long day. All right, what should you do first? I can't have anything outside of that absolute value. So, Anastasia, I'm going to subtract 3 first. And that's going to leave me with -4x minus 5 less than 6. Everything else in the clear? So now I'm ready to write my two inequalities, changing the sign and the direction. So I'm going to have a -4x minus 5 less than 6. You're looking right at it, right? That's your first one. Write what you think your second equation should be. Inequality, sorry. Write that. Okay. So you have x is greater than or less than 6, or x is greater than -6. Two things have to change. So now it's a piece of cake. I just solve it. However, be very careful of everything I have taught you in the past, because when I took these notes first hour, I was so intent on hurrying and getting through these notes that I forgot to what? Flip my sign, and 5 hands shot up immediately. And as soon as those hands went up, I looked at my paper and I went, okay, I forgot it. So, which is good, because that means that you guys, they were prepared. Okay? And you know what? Yeah, it's not going to go evenly, but that's okay. Too bad. Right? I am in the process of dividing by a negative, so I need to take this less than sign and make it a greater than sign, and this is going to become -2 3/4, or 2.75, whatever you feel like. So I'm also going to add 5 here. And this is going to give me -4x is greater than -1. Don't flip the sign until you are in the actual moment of doing that dividing, right? So, divide both sides by -4. We're almost done. I just divided by negative. Flip this to less than positive 1/4. Okay, I'm not done because I still need to graph. And then I need to see if it needs to be written as a combined. 0, positive 1/4, negative 2 3/4. I want all numbers less than 1/4. And usually you can kind of tell. When it goes this way, you know that the other one's probably going to go the other way and it's going to be an and. Or greater than negative 2/4. 2 3/4. Which means the only value, oh my gosh, I'm going to go all the way back up. This is quite a bit of work. I'm going to go all the way back up here. And what this finally is telling me is that the only values that x could be to make this true are all the numbers in between these, not including these because they're not colored in, right? So, because this is an and, I'm going to write it with the negative 2 3/4 where it's supposed to be, the positive 1/4 over here. Use your little nose, pointing to the negative 2 3/4. Got it? So what is being checked and graded? This graph needs to match that inequality, that combined inequality. Okay. I got one more example for you. Want to try this one on your own? See if you can get all the way through it. Okay. You got this. Okay. Take it all the way to the end and let's see if you're able to do this. Like, do you realize how important solving equations is in this sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. It shouldn't be. Because. Oh, hold on. No, it's good. It's good. I just, you had to think of, should you add 13? That makes, you have. Look at you shouldn't get the same answer twice. One should be a whole number. You will get one whole number and one mixed number. I was looking to see if it was proper or improper. You get one whole number and one fixed. Okay, I will slowly start to write some steps, and that way you can kind of look when you need to. Do you see, Autumn, why that changed? Okay, remember at this point you have a choice. If you want to challenge yourself and work with bigger numbers, you go right ahead. If you want to make it easy, just get rid of it. So just look up when you need to. Help each other if you need to. Yeah. Raise your hand if you're following me so far up to this point. Good. Yeah, the rest is just... I should have given you one where you had to divide by... I should have made that negative. How many of you would have remembered to switch it if I made that 3 negative? It's not a lot of hands. Negative 1 and 1/3. Okay, good so far? How many times do you write equal signs for lesson? I do it a lot. All right. Not done yet. So you found your mistakes here? Okay. Now, let's see what this looks like on a graph, or on your number line, rather. So I got both things going on over here. I got negative 1 and 1/3 here. Negative 4 is here. I need it greater than 1/4, or 4, negative 4. And as soon as you see it go this way, you kind of know that it's probably going to meet up with this other one. And less than this, which means this means the solutions are these numbers in between that x could be, which means that I can take and write it this way. And don't come this far to get the only thing wrong is like an inequality sign mixed around. Take that on that negative 4 and take it on the W. Whew. Did you get it? Anybody get it all the way through? Okay. If you did not get it, do you know where your mistake was? So you know what to fix for next time you do these? Okay?